and they're saying it is a mix between a microbe deadly enough to kill the 3 of them and a flu infection. They're saying it's an H3 flu thing from the current flu season. And they're basically warning this thing could spread, but so far it hasn't, and they don't know what's behind it. Meanwhile, it's admittedly involved in a C. diff infection, which are spread from hospitals and healthcare facilities, particularly among those taking antibacterials. And you see a cluster of articles there explaining how it's dangerous for the gut bacteria because it kills the healthy probiotics in there, by, again, introducing the antibiotics, making you more susceptible to C. diff and other dangerous bacteria strains, and goes on to elaborate how they can complicate with stuff like the flu. But they won't tell you that, I'm sure, on the mainstream. They'll just want to fearmonger about the flu itself and how you should take the shot. Anyway, we're going to be back with a whole lot more health news, particularly on vaccines, with Dr. Mayer Eisenstein. But first, we're going to go to an investigative report Darren McBreen did, also an on-the-street report he did on the outbreaks. Let's check it out.
Government-funded universities across the Western world are developing massive warehouses full of bioweapons that they say is for biodefense under the BioShield program. Airborne Ebola, smallpox, bubonic plague, bird flu, and the H1N1 superbug are being weaponized and kept in moderately secured facilities like at the Galveston National Laboratory on the campus of the University of Texas. Now, this may be one of the biggest threats we now face, as the risk of a deadly virus escaping one of these laboratories and starting a global pandemic, well, it is a clear and present danger.
Weaponized airborne Ebola, super weaponized viruses and bacteria that kill over 90%, 9 out of 10 people on your street dead.
The National Research Council, which is an arm of the National Academy of Sciences, released a report concerning potential hazardous risk associated with the new multi-million-dollar infectious disease research lab currently under construction in Kansas. It's located only 120 miles west of Kansas City. It's called the National Bio and Agro Defense Facility, and even though it's a Level 4 biolab, which is the highest secured rating issued by the CDC, the expert panel found that there is nearly a 70% chance that a disease will escape the laboratory during its planned 50-year operational lifespan. And it went on to say that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has not adequately gauged the potential risk of a dangerous airborne pathogen escaping the compound. There are what they call bioweapons that are in unsecured, well, moderately secured environments, like in Galveston, Texas, and the CDC even went to one of these facilities in Kansas, and they're not nearly as safe as they would hope. And they even said, the CDC even said the one in Kansas has a 70% chance of some dangerous virus getting released.
I mean, what are the bylaws in keeping them safe? I don't think there's anything even designated to making sure that they're safe. It's such it's that gray area of the world that nobody really thinks about, but is.
Yes.
Like,
so you think it's a clear and present danger that we should try to prepare for, something like that?
I think everybody should always be prepared for anything. You know, it's like hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
That's right.
Can you imagine the awakening that's going to happen if they release those bioweapons? After we've warned people so much, God Almighty, I hope the next phases of what we've broken down don't happen. God Almighty, I hope they don't. But I know one thing, I'm sure selfish. I've sure gotten my family ready.
Do you think it's wise for people that collect food and they have stockpiles of food and stuff like that just in case of emergency and have a place to go just in case something like this were to happen?
I don't have anything stockpiled.
I'm all about having weapons. I'm all about getting as much ammunition as you can get, getting it, because everybody's going to get crazy. They're going to want to get their hands on whatever sources are available: food, water, natural resources, anything to keep the normalcy of life continuing.
That's why I'm out here on the streets. I want to learn some street smarts, and if it goes down, then I want to be able to
find your way around it.
Yeah.
No, let me tell you something. Once something like that goes down, the people in the high-rise apartments and stuff, they're not going to know what to do. It's the people with street smarts that are going to be the ones that are
They won't be able to survive.
Just making sure that you have the resources that you need, because when the world gets chaotic, everybody loses their minds.
Let me put this in layman terms. A level 4 bioweapons lab should be 3 floors under the ground, barbed wire fences, minefields, and machine guns, and a system that if the super germs get out, they pull a lever, alarms go off, and the whole place goes up in flames. But instead, the global elite are storing it in level 2 facilities like the University of Texas at Galveston behind a glass door with a swipe card right there in Petri dishes. And they're doing this so that when they release it to massively reduce population, they can claim it was an accident.
And it's so creepy, these cases where they're obviously trying to flirt with disease, trying to bring it back out, and overall weaken everyone's immune system and really at least consider a mega death. Let's hope they don't do it. But it's so creepy to study this stuff for years and know that people like Sir Thomas Malthus from the late 1700s, who really was the forebearer to this entire eugenics model, said openly, instead of promoting cleanliness to the poor, we should court the return of the plague, make the beds narrow together, the streets narrow, or stop cleaning the streets, allow disease to spread and hope it kills people to contain population. Then in the modern day, you see people like Lord Bertrand Russell saying, yes, it would be nice if we had a black plague once every generation to keep population levels intact. Well, someone else talked about something once in every generation. That was Thomas Jefferson talking about a new revolution to keep freedom alive once in every generation. Now, we are going to go to break yet again. Don't go. We're going to have a bombshell interview coming up with Dr. Mayer Eisenstein. But I got to let you know, we're taking a hiatus on the INFOWARS Nightly News. We're going to take time out to search for and hire and seek out better new reporters, and we're going to up our graphics game, and we're going to get better at condensing this whole program so it can be easily digested and absorbed and then spread everywhere to the 4 winds. And so I hope you'll help us do that. One way to do it is to consider subscribing at PrisonPlanet.tv. We don't have corporate handouts. We don't work for the big foundations. We're regular people here trying to warn you. And so we'll help you support us. We hope that you would help support us financially that way. But if not, tell people about the broadcast. Tell them where they could tune in for free. And let's hope to spread the word that way. We'll be back in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, we will be showing you new segments and new old segments you may have missed. And, of course, we're going to take one more look at that upcoming Dave Mustaine piece, which will, again, air and be released next week. And then, of course, Mayer Eisenstein. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm signing these evil 1776 flags. Doesn't get any more out of control than that, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty un-American what we're doing here at INFOWARS.com. I mean, not only are we promoting liberty, but we're selling 1776 flags. Now that is Al-Qaeda.
Something that everybody should aspire to do, to make a contribution to this great nation for the good of everybody. And if you don't know the difference between what's right and what's wrong, just open your mind up.
In depth, uncensored, and unchained. It's Dave Mustaine in the INFOWARS.com interview.
I remember we had people die in Castle Donington. We had people die when we did Rock in Rio. And I went out there, I showed up in a neck brace, you know, and everybody's there going like, oh my God, what's happening, what's happening? I said, well, so-and-so called me this, and, you know, I just want to show him that he's that. You know, I don't want to play with any satanic bands. I'll play with bands that have darkness in them because we all have a little darkness in us or we wouldn't be human. But guys that are confessed Satanists and, you know, I just don't really have time for that. can't take any credit for James's songwriting ability or his guitar playing. He blew my mind when he picked up the guitar the first time, because he used to just sing, and I did all the guitar playing, and in fact, I talked between every song too. And when he picked up the guitar the first time, I remember watching him, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's really, really good. And in fact, it almost intimidated me. You know, the road got smooth, and my career's turned around. I got my best friend back playing bass with me. My kids like me. You know, traffic's gotten better. You know, it's just a whole complete paradigm shift. And
the universe lays before you. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
That's right.
Coming to the InfoWar, Thursday, March 15th.
And we are back from break on the InfoWars Nightly News. We are joined now by a very important and interesting guest, Dr. Meir Eisenstein. He holds a medical doctor degree as well as a law degree, and he's the medical director of Home First Health Services. He's written many books. We carry at least one of them, Don't Vaccinate Before You Educate, available at InfoWars.com. Dr. Eisenstein, thank you for joining us.
I know that a large percentage of your listening audience already has decided they don't want to vaccinate. So this afternoon, I'd like to talk about how you can write a valid legal waiver, be it for your child or be it for yourself.
Right. So do you want to get into that first, or cover some of the things happening in the news?
Oh, I'd love to get that first, because I think that's really that you know, as we're getting close to school physical year, you know, this becomes an issue with millions and millions of families. And I want to start by saying that this Sunday night at 7 o'clock at night, that's Central Time, I will be having a complimentary webinar, how to write a legal waiver for vaccines. All you have to do is go to our website, homefirst.com. That's HOMEFIRST.com. You hit the webinar button, and you just put your email address and you can sign up. Or you can give my office a call at 866-395-1881. That's 866-395-1881. You can sign up for the webinar, and I intend to answer everyone's question who calls, because I find this kind of really important, because I also like to get the pulse of what the public, what are their questions, what are their concerns when it comes to the whole vaccine issue.
Okay, Doctor. Yeah, just please elaborate.
Okay, good. You know, if you could put the slides up, you know, let's see, can I see the slides or that are going up? Because I have a couple of them that I'm going to use on Sunday night. Let's see if I can see them. Otherwise, I could just start talking about that, and we can. Well, I've been very proud that I've been the medical director for Home First Health Services. I've had 15 physicians work with me over the years, and we have delivered not only 15,000 children, almost all of them at home, but also we have more than 40,000 children who are not vaccinated. And what makes this so unique is that we have virtually no allergies, ADD, ADHD, virtually no diabetes, and virtually no autism. Is this related to the vaccines? Well, I'm sure there's a large percentage of that that's related, you know, but I'd like other people to say why we have such a large population. And you would expect in this population at least 400 children with autism-like symptoms, about 2,000 with learning disorders, and more than 4,000 with allergies. It runs about 10%. And yet we have virtually none. And it seems that the correlation is very strong. Now, that wasn't the reason why I got involved with this. I'm a student with the late Dr. Robert Mendelsohn, and he was the National Medical Director of Head Start. And Dr. Mendelsohn came to the conclusion over 40 years ago, because my oldest son is 40 years old now, that there was not a single vaccine that ever came out that ever made any difference as far as the population went for healthcare. And so slowly but surely, from the early 1970s when I met him, he started realizing that the vaccines weren't only helpful, but they could have been very dangerous. And now we have some graphs actually put out by the Center for Disease Control. And if we can show the first graph here, and I'm looking at a picture of myself here, and